G'day guys, welcome back to another video with Enno here from Fantasy Take TV. Today we'll be going through my round 15 scores and then we'll go through the trades at the end. But before I do, just shout out to the Avs boys getting up in the Stanley Cup finals. I am not the biggest fan, I'll be honest. I am a fan, of course, but I really only have been for about 2 or 3 years. Only reason I am is through the Denver Nuggets, who I've been a fan of for a long time. And only reason I am is they've got sort of a media business they run called DNVR, which is obviously Denver, but without the V's, and they have guys there that do live streams and content that I do watch from time to time, especially for the NBA. But a lot of their reporters and media people I followed for NBA. Some of them did the hockey stuff as well, so I always saw that stuff on my feed and just decided I don't have a hockey team. I might as well jump on the other Denver team in the hockey. I'm a Giants fan of the NFL. Don't ask why, but that's not changing. But so I go for the 2 Denver teams in the other 2 sports. And the Avs, I mean, they've had a few playoff runs recently, knocked out in the second round, I think the last 3 seasons. And generally what happens is when the Nuggets get knocked out, we've been getting knocked out in the second round, conference finals the last few years, I'd switch over to the hockey as it sort of goes a bit later, and then I catch up with how the Avs are doing and watch their games to sort of end off the sort of American season of sport. And they're just really exciting. Hockey, if you haven't watched it, it's just really exciting, especially in the playoffs, and it's really enjoyable to watch. So that's sort of how I've got into the sport over the last 2 or 3 years, and really cool to see him win the Stanley Cup. A couple of good stories of old guys like Eric Johnson and a couple others that have been there for a while, lifting their first cup, which is nice to see. And they've just got amazing young talent in like Cal McCarr, who's only 23, Nathan McKinnon, who's a bit older, but he finally gets his Stanley Cup, and they've just they sort of ended or stopped Tampa from getting on their dynasty. They were going for 3 straight, and now they can start their own. So it'll be cool to follow. I'll definitely be watching a lot more games for them over the coming years. I don't really watch during the season, but maybe I will start if I can. But yeah, so good to see. Hopefully the Nuggets are next, because that's one I'll enjoy a lot more. But the Cronkies win again. I think Stan Kroenke's won the Rams in the NFL. He owns them. Now the Avalanche, so he owns the Nuggets as well. Maybe they're next. And Arsenal as well, who's my team in the Premier League, who I've been with for maybe 20 years. So yeah, I followed too many teams from that guy, but success is coming his way, so hopefully it can in my other teams. But it's been a couple of minutes you probably don't care about. I'll put a timestamp for those who don't want to listen to me rabble, and we'll get into the SuperCoach stuff. So a big week for me this week. Actually scored very well and went up a few thousand spots. So 25-1-4, which was good. Moved up to about 8,000 overall. Obviously, it's still a pretty horrid rank at this stage of the year, but as I said, sort of after the buys, hopefully I can just kick on to the end of the year, make a few thousand spots up, and finish with something respectable in a 3 to 5 range. I don't expect it's possible to get too much higher than that, just with how good teams are ahead of me. Trades will come into it and stuff like that, but had a good week this week at least. So we can get into the team and see how it went. Starting in the back line, he's had a couple of down weeks, just not getting as much pill as he's has across the year, but he's having to play more tall the last couple of weeks, but he's still pretty solid, and that's pretty much his floor. So the big games will start coming once again when he gets a sort of a better matchup and better game script. But yeah, can't be upset with Sis. He's done a world of magic this year for me. So the next man, Dawson, I mean, this guy's almost up to 600k and probably will get there next week. He's had about 7 weeks, I think, now without a sub-ton, and he's just gone absolutely mental. So since about round 8, he's gone 130, 100, another 130, couple more hundreds, and then another couple 130s and 140 in there. So he's just shot his average from about 100 or 99 up into 110. And I did tweet before that he's now the 6th defender that's averaging over 110 for the season, which is just ridiculous. I think back to 6-7 years ago in SuperCoach, we were looking for, if our M8 was averaging 110, we were absolutely ecstatic. It was mostly like 105 range. There wasn't, 10 midfielders doing what they're doing these days, but now there's 6 defenders doing what they're doing there, which is pretty ridiculous. But scoring's just gone up and up and up every year in SuperCoach, it feels like. I've seen teams, I think, have a look at number 4 overall he's got like 24 premiums in his team. And I know we've been gifted, or well, not myself because I'd missed it, but Brody at 200k. Assists was very cheap. Sinclair, if you got him, was very cheap early. Wits, of course. So there's been a lot of value, and scoring's just been ridiculous, really. So, it's not really a surprise, but it is a lot more defenders scoring well this year than in years gone past. And Dawson's definitely one of those. Sinclair's another. He had a down week, got a bit of a tag from Robbie. Who was it? I can't even remember. I didn't catch the game on Saturday night, but Horse sent someone to him. So, it probably was coming. He's just doing what he wants back there for weeks and weeks and weeks. So, did probably expect it at some stage, but unfortunately, it's, I think, the second or third week I've had him is when he gets it. So, that's all right. Maybe he gets one or two more the rest of the year, but I think most teams probably just tend to leave those blokes alone. We'll see what Carlton does this week. I don't think there'll be a team that does it. So he should bounce back. Stu, immense game from him. I was at the ground. Didn't really catch the hit that he had on Prestia, but obviously I've seen it since and sent to the tribunal. He'll probably get three. Well, he get three minimum. Probably, I think he'll land on about 4. But obviously I'm no expert on that type of stuff. Which to me, if it was 3, I'd be tempted to hold. But I think just with a trade that I'll have available, and I'll show you the moves that I can do later, I think I'll use it and get rid of him. And maybe if I've still got 3 trades left in about 3 or 4 weeks when he's back, we'll think about possibly getting him back in, because their last 4 or 5 weeks are just ridiculous. But yeah, he was immense, and unfortunately, I do like Stuart as a bloke, but that was a very terrible and dog act on the footy field that you don't want to see, and he's going to pay the price for it. So, been a stupidly good pick this year. Without the concussion, I think he's averaging about 120. So, again, just another one of those defenders going nuts, but he'll be out for close to a month, so probably will be a trade. Hewitt, been a bit, not as good as he was to start the year, but solid as ever. Still finding 25 to 30 touches every week, just doing what he does around the stoppage. So he's continued to be awesome. And Shorty just in that role, in a game like that it's just not going to be as big as scores or as consistent as scores, as I've said many weeks gone past, in that sort of role. But West Coast, Gold Coast, North the next 3 weeks, he's not going anywhere. It's not an urgent trade for me. If you've got surplus trades, I'm sure actually people were probably lining up short to Stewart as a luxury trade, but then obviously that's off the cards. So, I'm holding him for now, and I don't see a major issue with it until he starts scoring terribly. So, look, 80s aren't obviously what you want, but I do think a big one is coming soon. And then we've got just on the bench, Rory Thompson, I think maybe back soon, and then Massimo, it looks like pretty decent cover. So, if we ever need to call upon him, should be all right. In the mids, Clary, didn't get the VC on him. I went for something left field, as you can probably already see, but he was good if you went that way and took it. Neil was the other one, started very, very well and then sort of faded out, or got Harms sort of shut him down a bit in the middle quarters, and then he just finished off with the 111. McRae was very solid, but had a massive first half and then sort of faded away, as he's done plenty of times this year, and especially when I've had the C on him. I think I've got a 90 and a couple of 90s even, with the captaincy on him after big first halves and then sort of fading away. Took, just been Took this year, really, hasn't it? He's still tackling, he's still finding the footy, he's just really, really butchering it, and it's really hurting his scores compared to those 120s, 130s he was getting last year. It's sort of your low tons now. So, look, he's still averaging 115 on the year. You can't sneeze at that. It just isn't obviously as good as he was going last year. Cripps, another sub-ton for myself, which is awesome. Just love caving into this pick when I did, after avoiding it for so long and getting punished. So just has worked terribly for me this year. Haven't picked Cripps at all, and would much rather it be Sammy Walsh, the king, right there. But what will be will be. I don't have the trades to make those sorts of moves, I don't think. So he'll be staying for the time being. Zach Merritt had a good game, bounced back after a couple of 90s. He was good. Hopefully can continue. I think getting Parrish back into the team will actually help him more. So hopefully Parrish is back this week. Track, again, like Cripps, not as bad or playing as badly. Just, again, he's really butchering the footy. And he has done that in the past. It's always sort of been his Achilles heel, but it's just, it's amped up at the moment and he can't kick a goal. I think he's, 9 goals, 22 for the season, plus probably God knows how many that have missed or gone on the full as well. And after owning him for the post buy last year and getting a 125 average out of him, We'll be lucky to get 115 out of him this year, I think. I mean, he can bounce back, quick to write people off. We are in this game. Gets the Crows this week, who are probably a pretty good matchup, but just not really in good form. But he can find it quickly, and he's shown, especially in final series before, especially last year, that he can go bananas. And then we used Mitch Owens as a loop and got Nick Dacos here for another 90 from him, who's been immense for me the last 3 or 4 weeks as well. In the rucks, and Witsy was unbelievable. Had about almost 20 hit-outs to advantage. He had about 16 of them in the first half. Sort of faded out a bit. I think they put Charlie Dixon obviously is their key forward they want there, and Finlayson's the one that was rucking more, and then they sort of switched that in the second half because Witz was so dominant. They changed that and put Charlie more in the ruck because his big body can compete with Witz more than Finlayson was, and it actually probably helped them towards winning the game in the end. So probably a good move by Kenny in the end, and that sort of slowed Witz down. So he was heading for a monster score, and I was upset because I did have this captaincy on him until I took Shrek's VC stupidly in the end. I mean, I just didn't really trust Witz with the captaincy. Couldn't get led this week as I was sort of priced out and had to make a trade elsewhere. And just knowing that I had to get my last midfielder, I just couldn't afford led, so got Parker instead. But yeah, that just meant I couldn't do Witz. I just backed out. In hindsight, obviously should have stuck with him. And the original plan was Darcy into lead, which would have been perfect. But obviously, not only lead, you can't do that. So Shrek, he was good. He probably could have got more hit outs to advantage, but DeConning was actually very decent, especially in the centre bounce where he's got that leap. He's very good at DeConning. So both the DeConning boys, of course, they're looking very good and both looking to have pretty good careers. So Darcy gets that Port matchup this week. So it'll be interesting to see what Ken does there, whether they bring Sam Hayes back in, what they do in that situation. And then English on the bench. I just had him there to use Teakle to loop in the forward line. So looking like English won't be back this week. Again, seeing as it's a Thursday game, probably have to field one of the rookies again. So just be wary of that. Bont was good second week in my team, and he was very, very good. Cogs was good again. Loved seeing Cogs play well. Just think he's heart and soul. He's had a hard couple of years, and now he looks like a free man, and he's just playing really, really well. Dunks was good again, and solid as always. Parker on debut, pretty disappointing. Didn't catch the game, but he did have a head knock that I heard of, or actually saw Zach Jones, so he looks to be in hot water. But so he struggled through that. I think that was early, so that probably contributes a bit to his score, but it is frustrating when you bring someone in and they score that in the first game. Darcy Cameron, I don't know what the hell to say about this guy. He is unbelievable. I do not deserve this at all. I think I've said it in previous weeks. If you manage to jump on this guy with already a good rank in the top, few thousand, he would have absolutely shot you up and helped you immensely. I didn't get him for the Gold Coast game. I actually don't even think I got him for the Tigers game. I got him. I've got him after seeing him twice. Got him for 370k, and he's gone 90, 130, 90, 130, 103, 117, and averaged like whatever that is. It's about 115, 120 in the last 5 or 6 weeks. So it's just been unbelievable. Not sure what they're going to do when Grundy's back. I mean, I know they're probably going to bring Mason Cox out the team, but what's the split look like? Because when he was in the team, Cameron was a lot forward. He deserves more ruck time, honestly. He does so much for them around the ball. Obviously, he's not the best tap ruckman in the world, but what he brings around the contest, around the ground, is really, really good. So whenever Grundy's back, whether that's 4, whether that's 5 weeks, we'll see. I'll think about that in the future. I'll probably give Cameron 1 game with Grundy and see what it looks like. So he's been awesome. Very, very thankful to have him in my team. Because without him, I'd probably be in a worse position. So he's been awesome. And then unfortunately, I got Maurice Rioli 65 looped there, and I pretty much had to take it looking at that. And of course, Paulie Curtis, my man, goes and scores 87 in the 1 week that I didn't get his score. So we like that from Paul. Was probably going to use his money for a trade, but I've found something which we'll go to now that seems pretty tough to pass up. So Obviously, Tommy Stew, he has to go. If you have like 2 trades, 1 trade, you could probably think about holding because you got to expect more carnage towards the end of the season. But with me, I've got 5, and it will help me get my last upgrade because I still have one to do with Dacos, and I will be able to do it with him and Dacos going out. So my plan originally was, if Stewart wasn't out, it was just to upgrade Dacos to a mid with another trade, use Paul Curtis's money, get probably Rory Laird and be done and be happy. Stewart going down obviously throws a bit of spanner in the works. He's got to go. My other option was to do Stewart straight to a midfielder. So see, I have 622. Laird went too big. It's sort of priced out of him. I'd move Dacos back for a week. Get maybe a Mills, maybe a Sam Walsh. I'd be maybe more enticed by. And then wait, because obviously you can't really upgrade Dacos here to anyone that's worthwhile in defence with 483. But what I have found is instead of Sam Walsh, we get the man who, I'll say burnt, even though, it is unlucky getting a shoulder injury, but he did drop a 70 the week before that when he wasn't injured. Jackie Steele, he's back. He's at great value, 550k. Any other year you'd snap that out instantly, but obviously a lot of teams are finished. And it is something that I guess people will think about with your Cripps, with your Petrarca. If you have the cash there, full team, 4 or 5 trades, I'd think about swapping them over for sure. Cripps or Petrarca to a Jack Steele. Obviously, this is not in my case, but I would think about that and something we'll probably speak about on the podcast, which actually won't be tonight. George has got some things on. We probably can't line up this week in the early. We might do a longer version on the Thursday, Friday, sort of mix it in with the teams and trades video and just do it that way and maybe do a 45-minute video then. But Aaron Hall, look, look how it works out here. $500 left. He came back and just went bananas. 150 against the Crows in his same old dirty old pig role that he played all the back half of last year or most of last year and to start this year. Obviously the big concern, he's done 2 hammies this year, one in the preseason and one in the actual season. But he spent a long time out with it, so it makes you think that they did spend their absolute due diligence getting it right. It is a risk. It leaves me with 3 trades and a full team though, which opposed to my original plans, and now with Stewart out would be 5. Would be with 2 trades because I'd use sort of Curtis's money down to another rookie and spread that across these 2 players to get Sam Walsh and maybe a Doherty or something like that, or a Laird and a God knows Jack Cripps. But we won't go there. But this really does stand out to me. Does stand out to me quite a bit. It is risky. The place my team is in at this point in the season, can't really make too much of a push. Doesn't really matter, I guess, whether I finish 5k or 10k. In my eyes, anyway. Of course, people probably want a more respectable rank than 10k. But look, I'll probably head with this in the early stages of the week. Of course, things can always change. We'll see what the full team looks like. I don't expect English to play, so I'll have to field Curtis or Rioli again and probably loop them. But yeah, it's looking pretty set to do those 2 trades, because instead of using an extra trade and having to do it over 2 weeks and holding Dacos another week, who, mind you, Dacos has been very, very good, and I wouldn't be totally against doing that. It just gets all premiums in my team, finishes it off, and now we just sit. Keeps Paul Curtis's good cover, who looks pretty good. Obviously, he's probably not going to do that every week, especially as a small forward in a Kangaroos team. But it does definitely help, and that extra trade might come in handy when we get some carnage later on. A couple of injuries, they're always bound to happen. So I think that's where I'm heading for now. VCC this week, I haven't really given it too much thought. Maybe McRae against Brisbane into Clary against Adelaide, who, funnily enough, SuperCoach have whacked in with the 193 projected, which I guess plays a part to these 2 scores that he got in 2020 and 2021 early at Adelaide Oval against the Crows, both double tons. So doesn't like the G against the Crows, but at Adelaide Oval, which is where they are this week, he thrives. So, of course, that's into the formulas. That's given him the big projected. But that's a team. it's pretty much finished. I do have to monitor Darcy Cameron in probably a month. And it would be nice to flip sort of one of Petrarca or Cripps or someone to Sam Walsh or something like that. But the one bad thing about those trades is it leaves me with only $500 in the bank. And that is not ideal for when you get an injury or you get someone suspended like we have this week. And you only want to use one trade in changing them over. You've only got $500, so you have to go downwards to someone else. So for those mids, your Cripps, your Zerets, your Petrarcas. I mean, look, if I wanted to get rid of Petrarca, who the hell am I going to that's less than 500k? There's no one. So it sort of makes it hard in doing those sorts of moves. Even Shorty, if I wanted to get into another good defender, like a Doherty or something like that, I don't have the cash. I have to go downwards, and there's really no one you would rather go down to. So hopefully with the Darcy Cameron situation, that he keeps his scores going, keeps his cash up. So in the chance or the time that I might have to flip him, I can go to someone that's less than him that is still a good player. So that's a team. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the podcast or the trades video, whichever we end up doing this week. So thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one. Cheers. Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like, hey, pulling out the coupe at the lot.